Good morning, everyone. Let me welcome you to the sitting of this committee to deliberate on the making of Portmore, the municipality of Portmore, the 15th parish. We have been on this deliberation for some time now. When the committee was first formed, this Joint Select Committee, sometime last year, I believe it was early December or late November, when the House moved for us to sit and to deliberate on establishing Portmore as the 15th parish. I believe that we have had some very good discussions and very good presentations from a number of state agencies, as well as citizens and civic groups, not only from Portmore, making their submission. We in fact opened the submission in December and had extended the submission deadline on more than one occasions. And I must thank all the members for participating. Members, I want to make special mention today that our clerk is celebrating her birthday with us this morning. This is Mrs. Douglas Beckford's birthday. Today is her birthday, and she's with us. And I want to use the opportunity to extend to Mrs. Beckford a very happy birthday. I was going to guess the age, but if I said 16, you will not be allowed to work in the parliament and you'll have an investigation. So let me just leave it and say happy birthday, Mrs. Douglas Beckford. You have worked very well with us as a committee. You have been very responsive. You ensure that we have all the necessary documentations at all times, and we are very appreciative. Oftentimes, we do not give the necessary recognition to the team at the Parliament, Houses of Parliament, for their sterling service. You are also giving human service to nation building. I want to also extend a special welcome as well to members of the Houses of Parliament, the technical team in particular. Today, we are having our first virtual committee meeting. And I must say, so far, so good in terms of level of connectivity and the clarity of the videos. Notwithstanding the fact that we're not able to see member Campbell Rodriguez live face, but her voice is just as lively. And I doubt that is something on the part of the technical staff at the Houses of Parliament. I want to also thank representatives of the different agencies who have been with us throughout this proceeding. Sometimes we rush into meetings and do not make necessary acknowledgement. I want to use the opportunity to acknowledge all persons present, support team, teams that are there to provide guidance for us, as well as our members. Having said that, we are at item 5, and the discussion this morning should be on the input from the Southeast Region Health Authority. They were given notice from early this year, around January or February, when all the relevant government agencies were asked to make a presentation, suggestions coming from the members as to the agencies or entities they would want to see making a presentation to us. And we have had quite a number of presentations from the state agencies, and today we just got an email 3 minutes to 10, the start of the meeting, an apology from the permanent secretary, indicating that the team would be unable to attend. And we understand where the ministry is coming from. They have a very enormous task managing this pandemic. So we appreciate that the challenges that they are faced with. And so, members, I want to make a suggestion, bearing in mind the situation we find ourselves in. The presentation is before us. They made available to us. Some time ago, a copy of their presentation, the clerk herself sent it to us again in a reminder of today's meeting earlier this week. And I have looked at it, and I think members would have looked at it as well. And I believe that we should examine it, that presentation. And if we believe that there are anything that needs to be clarified, that we put it in writing, I send it to the ministry, Southeast Regional Health Authority, to answer or to lend clarity on their submission. Members?
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members. May I proceed, Chair?
Go ahead, Member Jackson.
I make note of the circumstances with the Ministry of Health that you have made mention of. And I do understand their own predicament, particularly at this very time that we speak, and what has happened over the weekend and now, that they would be preoccupied in seeking to resolve. But the Ministry of Health, notwithstanding the documentation provided here, is a critical piece for the whole municipality and any proposed parish that would emerge going forward, particularly against the background, if we are, as I think we are, primarily concerned in the developmental prospects for the residents in the area, that we seek to see how we could. I have some issues that I would like to have elucidated by the Ministry of Health. And while they could not come today, I don't know if they had made any proposal. Normally when entities are to come and they have difficulties, they make requests for some particular time if they can be accommodated. In that context here, I would like us to consider such accommodation for the Ministry of Health.
Any other comments or suggestions from members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just to say, if they have submitted, which I think they have, a report, we could proceed. My suggestion is we proceed to look at what they have submitted. And then if we have any questions, we submit to them, because given the situation with the Ministry of Health right now, you know, the amount of work they have to do, we can't be guaranteed that even if they reschedule, that they will be able to meet that obligation. So I think we should go through the report, and if we have any questions, we submit to them and then request an answer, or they come at that point. But I'm not sure we should delay because of that.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, member.
Yeah, I got cut off a while ago. Let me apologize. Morning, everyone. I think I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with Senator Campbell Rodriguez that we proceed. As you can recall, Sir Chair, that Ministry of Health should have presented last week and they were not here. And that's why we're here and they're not here again. They had tabled a report as well. And, we can go through it. I think we must proceed. We have given a lot of time in terms of persons to give, their responses in terms of Portmore being the 15th parish, which was extended as well. I think, ample time was given, and I think we should proceed with the affairs of Portmore becoming the 15th parish.
Chair, if I may, I've heard my colleagues, but let me remind us all that we are talking about the Parliament of Jamaica. And there's a supremacy for the Parliament of Jamaica in respect to all entities, ministries, departments of government. The Parliament is supreme. We acknowledge that from time to time, ministries or personnel will have challenges. It doesn't mean that the ministry or agency can, by their business, abdicate their responsibility to respond to the Parliament. What normally happens, the permanent secretary, meaning the head of the ministry, if there are compelling reasons that the permanent secretary cannot come, the permanent secretary designate the next senior officer in the ministry because the ministry is not just the permanent secretary. And to send the pertinent members of staff in the ministry to speak to not just the committee members. And I want to remind, the committee is not just about us. When they come to the committees of the House, they come to the people of Jamaica. When they speak to us, they are speaking to the people of Jamaica. Yes, we'll have the benefit of a report, but I personally would like to have an exchange with the ministry and some of the issues that they raised in their submission. So, in summary, Chairman Sen and my colleagues, what I propose we do, I presume that they never made a proposal for an alternate date. Have the clerk, Ms. Beckford, ascertain from the permanent secretary, right? Give him some proposed date that we could accommodate him, require the ministry to come. If he cannot come, he designate the most competent, suitable, appropriate, whatever the right description is, representative of the ministry to appear before the committee.
Mr. Chairman, if I just may.
Member Campbell Rodriguez.
Yes, I was just going to say that I understand and appreciate what Member Jackson is saying. And normally he would have had my support 100% for what he's saying. But we are in unprecedented times. We are in the midst of a health pandemic where the priority has to be the health and wellness of Jamaicans. So I am willing this time to understand why the Ministry of Health is having this difficulty, whether it is the permanent secretary or anyone else who would be speaking on the ministry's behalf. We have to remember this is not normal times. And as such, we have to understand, and we can't at the same time delay the business here. I am not sure from the member why it is that it is difficult to submit questions to the Ministry of Health from the presentation they have sent to us. I could understand if they had not submitted a report to us, but they have presented one. So let us just keep in mind, we are in the middle of a global pandemic. So it's okay in my mind if the Ministry of Health cannot come at this time.
Thank you very much, Member Campbell.
Mr. Chair. Yes, Chairman.
Yes, Minister.
Yes, I agree with the position that we should peruse that document, because the question that we will be asking will be questions as a result of what was presented in that document. So I would go with the position that we all peruse the document and we look at the questions, the gray areas that might arise from that document, and we'll put it in a question form to the Ministry of Health. Because as things are now, this is the second apology. So what should we do? Should we apologize in, well, I heard Member Jackson speak about personnel of different ranking who could make themselves available, but I am not sure, because with what is happening now, the goalpost in the Ministry of Health is changing daily. So we don't know what might transpire if we give another date and they are not here. So my advice is that let us not await until we get a date. If we subsequently can get a date, fine. But we would have to have those questions readily available, that we can send those questions, that they can come and answer those questions, and it would be probably make life even much easier for them if they have to come, because they would know exactly the questions that will be asked of them. So I would suggest that we proceed as you recommend.
Thank you very much, Member David. Yes, Member Morris.
Yes, I just want to, this presentation is, whilst it's from the Ministry of Health, it's particularly from the Southeast Regional Health Authority. Am I correct?
Correct, Member.
So, what would have prevented the chairman for the Southeast Regional Health Authority and the executive director from coming to make the presentation if the permanent secretary et al. are not available. I find this situation inexcusable, Mr. Chairman, because it's not that they weren't aware. And you said that they sent a notice 3 minutes before the meeting to you via email, indicating. I mean, the Parliament is a serious institution that we operate, Mr. Chairman, and we all have made the sacrifice. And I heard my very good friend and colleague, Senator Campbell Rodriguez, pointing to the fact that we're operating in a pandemic. But right. We are operating in a pandemic and we are using the Zoom technology to link into the meeting. The members from the Ministry of Health could have done the same as well, So I find the situation very inexcusable. And because when we examine the document here today and questions are formulated, those questions will have to be remitted to the Ministry of Health and they will have to respond. Is it that they are going to be coming back to the committee or they are going to be writing? And if the latter case is the situation, I mean, when will we get the opportunity to examine them or the arguments that they present in the precincts of the Parliament? And so I have a serious concern in terms of the approach adopted by the Ministry of Health, because they are critical to this whole situation.
All right, thank you very much, Member Morris, and all the members who have made a contribution to this matter before us. The ministry was invited twice, and I understand the point of Member Jackson in that this is indeed a very critical state entity, especially in this time when the coronavirus pandemic is raging throughout the world. But members, I believe that we were presented with this presentation, and I'm going to ask the clerk to see if it can be placed on the shared screen for members to look at. But we have before us, even last week, I believe it was given to us, a copy of the presentation. And I'm going to lead by going through the presentation and, note the questions. We will indicate to them that they may still have to come, notwithstanding the situation that we are faced with. They will have to come and maybe even answer the questions to lend more clarity to some of our concerns. So, Madam Clerk, is it possible for us to see the presentation on screen?
Trying to put it up, Chairman.
I want to use the opportunity to refer members to the hard copy, and also if you check your emails, you will see a soft copy of this presentation. And notwithstanding the fact that they are not in attendance, the Ministry, Southeast Regional Health Authority, in fact, gave us a very comprehensive.
Chairman.
Yeah, yes, member.
May I just inquire as to whether it is necessary for any further presentations? Because I haven't seen one presentation which suggests that there is the legal basis for doing this thing that we're doing. And that I think would be the only question to ask.
I understand, member, and you're indeed correct, but I believe, for transparency and to just give everyone the opportunity to express themselves, this in fact is the last presentation that we have, and I would not want it to be said that we did not afford all the relevant entities that the members had asked to make a presentation, not being able to make such a presentation. And so today, members, we can just go through this. I know my members are very thorough and dedicated persons and would have already read and gone through this document and even know their questions or concerns. Nevertheless, I will, lead by going through page by page, and then I'm sure that, despite the fact that this is a very clear and very comprehensive piece of document, if there are any concerns, we relay those concerns to the ministry and even invite them, to clarify any matter. But the work of this committee cannot become stagnant because of the crisis that we're facing. The presentation was supposed to be done virtually as well. And, members, we have to just get on with the work of this committee. We have been on this matter from last year. And I believe, members, that despite the best effort of all of us, we have to put a little bit more pace to this work that we have before us. So, Madam Clerk, are we able to...
Chairman, before you proceed, there's a bit of clarity I'm seeking in terms of procedure. You are proposing to take this written submission and go through it page by page as you indicated.
It's a slide presentation, so it's not much.
No, it's not the quantum, even if it's one page. My question, Chair, is when we would have done that, what next? My understanding is, you want to go ahead? When we would have done that, what next?
Jackson, please.
Yeah, I was saying that my thinking, and I stand to be corrected, is that when we would have gotten all the presentations, both the written ones and any verbal oral presentation, the clerk of the committee will prepare a matrix of those recommendations in those submissions for the committee to consider all together. And when we would have considered those submissions, a report is then generated, which is submitted to the Parliament. But the report is going to be an extract of those presentations. So yes, we already have the report that the clerk can summarize and submit in that matrix that we will consider at that time when we will be considering all other submissions which should have been made. So give me a little guidance in terms of...
You're correct, member. We will have to generate a matrix for us to discuss. And from that matrix, we will prepare a report for Parliament. It is the standard operating procedure. And we're not going around that.
No, I'm not suggesting that you were...
No, I just say that, and it is good, because we have quite a number of new members here. So, it's good for us to be able to enlighten them as well. So thank you, Member Jackson, for that reminder, a clarity.
It's not, it's a reminder. I have a question in it too. My question is, since the report is going to be part of the recommendations in the report, or the submission is going to be part of the recommendations in the matrix for us to consider as going into the report, then it would negate us going through this thing because we'll be talking to ourselves and we have to talk to ourselves.
Remember, sometimes it's good for us to speak amongst ourselves. So we're going to proceed with the
as long as we don't answer ourselves. But it's very good that we speak among ourselves.
Member Jackson, please be careful. I would not want to hear that you're answering yourself.
I'm smiling, I'm not laughing. I'm smiling. Because what I'm hearing, I'm trying to really wrap my head around it. But I'm a little challenge.
Be careful, member. I don't want you to try that. That's a very difficult task, And it might then push you to answer yourself.
It is proving very difficult.
All right, members. So the presentation is before us. Madam Clerk, could you just members, I think we had skipped something on the agenda, the minutes of the last meeting. And let us just do that little bit of housekeeping The minutes of the last meeting was
Chairman, no, I had indicated that it wasn't finished.
Oh, it was not finished. Okay, okay. All right, so we'll take that at the next meeting. Okay, so members, Mrs. Douglas Beckford, you can put on the shared screen the presentation. So remember, we are at the distribution of the health services. The public health services in St. Catherine is provided by the Southeast Regional Health Authority. CERA was formed under the National Health Services Act of 1997 and is responsible for health services, the delivery of health services in Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas, and of course, St. Catherine. So that was omitted. Jamaica health system grew out of a need to provide health services close to the population. So there are three health service delivery network. You have the primary care, which is a series of interlocking health centers that focuses on health education, prevention, and early treatment, maternal and child care. You have the secondary care services, which is the health services delivered through a network of hospitals that have specialists and diagnostic services for patients referred for further management. That's the secondary health system. And the tertiary care is a higher level of service provided by hospitals where more complex and specialized management is required from a multidisciplinary team. And they give us examples like the University Hospital of the West Indies, KPH, Victoria Jubilee, and the Bustamante Hospital for Children. Under the public health programs, you have four sections: environmental health, health promotion and education, surveillance and monitoring, and disaster risk management. Drilling down to the parish of St. Catherine, the next slide gives us an idea as to the population by sex. St. Catherine, with a total population of over 516,000, has 250,000 males and 265,000 females. Portmore currently has 88,000 males and over 100,000 females, of a total population of just under 190,000. So Portmore, as it is, represent just under 37% of the population of the parish of St. Catherine. Looking at the population by age group, in St. Catherine, 26% of the population is under the age of 15. 28% falls in the age group or the range of 15 to 29 years old, that we would consider young adults. And the group 30 to 64 years of age comprise 39% of the population. So if you look at this data, almost 60% of the population is under the age of 29 in St. Catherine. So we have a very young population, relatively young population in St. Catherine. 65 and over, just 7% of the population is age over 65 years. Health service providers in Portmore, we have no hospitals, whether public or private, in Portmore, and that is something that we know and have been mentioned a number of times. Medical facilities or health centers, we have private medical facilities and 3 public health centers in Portmore. Dental clinics, you have 8 private clinics and 1 public dental clinic in Portmore. Laboratory and diagnostic services, we have 13 private and 1 public. Pharmacies, over 20 pharmacies, private pharmacies in Portmore, and 1 public pharmacy. Staffing, the public health facilities in Portmore for the routine services. The health centers, Christian Penn has 5 medical officers, 4 nursing staff, and 14 support staff, bringing it to a total of 23. Waterford has a complement of 25 staff members. Greater Portmore has over almost 48 staff members, bringing a total of just under 100 healthcare staff within the Portmore region. We have looking at the specialized services, mental health. We have in the mental health sector, and this is a very important sector, especially where we are now grappling with this pandemic. A lot of us do not really appreciate at times the mental impact of such a pandemic. We have 2 medical officers, 6 nurses, and 9 support staff. That brings a total
Mr. Chairman,
to
I'm protecting yourself from Member Jackson.
Public and mental health staff. Environmental health, we have 11 environmental health staff in the Portmore area. And under dental, you have 3 medical officers, 9 nurses, and 2 other staff, support staff members. That brings that to 14. So the total number of specialized staff members in Portmore, it's will be 22 plus 20, that's 42. The guiding principles, 1, the Ministry of Health and Wellness Strategic Plan 2030, the National Health Services Act of 1997, the Public Health Act of 1985, the Portmore Municipal Council Mission and Vision Statement, and the Greater Bernard Lodge Development. Those are the guiding principles that governs the operation of the Ministry of Health and Wellness in Portmore. The Ministry of Health and Wellness Strategic Plan 2019 to 2030 speaks to its 10-year strategic plan, and its primary objective is reforming of Jamaica's health system, aimed at attaining universal access and universal health coverage. Strategic goal number 1 is safeguarding access to equitable, comprehensive, quality health care. And members, you'll see a breakout table looking at each strategic outcome and the necessary actions to support us as achieving or attaining the specific strategic outcome. So look at strengthening the primary care facilities, modernizing the hospitals and specialized care centers, I'm sure, as I said, I'm sure members look through this document from the very first time it was presented to us. So we are at the next slide that speaks to the MOH Goal 1 current projects. So in Portmore, they have the Greater Portmore Health Center expansion, which is an IDB project. We are looking to build out the current project, building out a new facility in Waterford, that's the Waterford Health Center. New facility in the Christian Penn area that serves Burger Park and adjoining communities, that's the Christian Penn Health Center. And they are also rolling out a project now, the Non-Communicable Disease Intervention Project, which is also an IDB project. And of course, this is a very critical one, health record system, upgrading the health record system. And this is also an IDB project. The next slide more or less speaks to the dividing of the country into 4 health regions, Southeast region, the Northeast region, West region, and the South Central region. That's the 1997 National Health Services Act. And the Act of 1997 more or less speaks to the structure of the administrative structure, the delivery of services, as well as managing expenditure and general service delivery in the health sector. That is the National Health Services Act of 1997. The Public Health Act speaks to the establishment of the local board of health in each parish. And that more or less manages the public health sector, oversees the public health sector. I believe the chairman of the council is the chairman of the local board of health, or sits on the local board of health. So there is, and it's also a critical part of the Municipal Corporation Act. Well, started first under the Parish Council Act. So the local board of health, well, the local planning authority, which is in this instance is the different municipal corporations, sits on the local board of health.
No,
I recall having as a former mayor, nominating a councillor or two councillors to sit on the local board of health. And they would normally report back to council.
No, the mayor, Mr. Chairman, is the chairman of the local board of health.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Chairman, yes.
You know, thank you for that correction, member Davis. I'm too far removed from mayorship. So thank you. You are the newbie on the block, just a couple months out of office.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that guidance, sir.
All right, good.
So again, our members, you know, this is a very critical piece of legislation, that the local board of health is managed or chaired by the local planning authority, chairman of the local planning authority, which in this instance is the council.
But Mr. Chairman,
corporation, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, not to stop you, but even though Portmore has a mayor and a chairman, no, he has a mayor, but it's still Mayor Scott, chairman.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, right.
Yes, so it's the mayor of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation.
Right. Yeah.
That is so correct.
That chairs that committee. So
right.
The mayor of Portmore is rendered, for want of a better word, impotent when it comes to
exactly. And that's why I want to give them potency.
Member Jackson. I was expecting a comment from Member Jackson. I'll move on.
I am listening keenly and attentively, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Member Morris, I was expecting a comment from you, sir. But go ahead, nevertheless.
You, at the last meeting, you had indicated that we were going to have a brief meeting, and so I scheduled an 11 o'clock meeting that I have to run to. So I'm going to have to, and that's a face-to-face, so I have to leave you now. But I want to leave with a question for the team at the Ministry of Health and Southeast Regional Health Authority, because in light of the stats for the parish and for Portmore, where we have 190,000 individuals. That's a very large population in a parish that is significantly more than the parish of St. Mary, Portland, and St. Thomas. And those parishes all have not just one. I mean, St. Mary has 2 hospitals, and likewise Portland and St. Thomas have hospitals. And I want to know when it is that the ministry, the government, intend to build a hospital in Portmore.
Very good question, member.
So that is the question that I have for the Ministry of Health.
A very good question, and I'm sure that's a question that a lot of persons would want to answer, and I welcome that question, sir. Member, have a safe journey to your next meeting, and thank you for your presence.
Thank you. Thank you,
Travel, my brother.
Thank you.
All right, right. Blessings.
Okay, so members, we are at the slide that speaks to the Public Health Act, Section 7. A local board may from time to time and shall, if directed by the minister to do so, make regulations relating to the overcrowding of buildings and measures to remedy same. You know, that, especially with this pandemic, even though the Disaster Risk Management Act supersedes that in essence, it speaks also to the importance of the local board of health that is currently chaired by the member, the chairman of the St. Catherine Parish Council, or Municipal Corporation. So, the overcrowding of buildings and measures to remedy same, the provision, use, and maintenance of public sanitary convenience, the cleaning, disinfection, and maintenance of premises, including markets, slaughterhouses, dairies, places connected with food trade, and any public place, barracks, closure of buildings dangerous to the inhabitants, therefore, or to public health. Another very important role of the local planning authority. And that mission is usually carried out through the municipal corporation, where the council or the municipal corporation at times must make decisions for the betterment of not only the inhabitants of a particular place, but the surrounding community as well. Another piece of document that supports or guides the Ministry of Health is the Greater Bernard Lodge development. And just a summary, it's an integrated development with an overall capital expenditure value of approximately $2 billion, broken down into 4 categories. Just over 17,000 housing units, 3.79 million square feet of commercial space, 871,000 square feet of light industrial space, and a reserve of just under 2,000 acres in agriculture. That and that will account for 1.4 billion out of the 2 billion. So just under 70% of the expenditure value of 2 billion will go towards housing solutions, commercial space, light industrial space, and of course, agricultural space. Shared infrastructure, including all roads, storm drainage, water, sewage, and landscaping that are outside development blocks. So again, it is like, remember guys, the presentation from the National Work Agency as it relates to upgrading and integrating the road network in Portmore, and some $77 million is being allocated for that under the Greater Bernard Lodge development based on the document before us. Public facilities including schools, hospitals, university, police station, post office, and fire service throughout the development, and that is some $103 million. And the last point is the special programs and initiatives. Special programs and initiatives to include a mass transit system and facilities for urban management, economic development, youth development, as well as environmental initiatives. And that is some $345 million. These members falls under the Greater Bernard Lodge development, right? And that is the Ministry of Health, in particular, Southeast Regional Health Authority, is guided by not only the National Health Services Act, not only the Public Health Act, but they also are being guided by the Greater Bernard Lodge Development Plan. The Portmore Municipal Council, it should be corporation, is also an integral part of the guiding principle of the Ministry of Health, Southeast Regional Health Authority. The mission statement of the Municipal Corporation, Portmore Municipal Corporation, is to provide the residents of Portmore with the highest quality of modern and efficient municipal services, working in partnership with the community and all stakeholders to promote a high standard of living, sustainable development, and sound environmental management with equity for all. The vision statement of the council is to transform Portmore into a secure and sustainable city driven by knowledge, enterprise, and participatory local governance. The next slide speaks to the environmental health challenges in Portmore. And those of us who are familiar with Portmore would readily recognize some of these challenges. Heavy mosquito infestations from improperly maintained sewage treatment plants, drains, and improper storage and disposal of refuse, which leads to disease, transmission, and biting nuisance. So again, that is a challenge that the council in Portmore currently faces. Poorly designed and maintained drains that contribute to flooding and mosquito infestation, reluctance on the part of food establishment operators to voluntarily apply for certificate, members is in reference to the food handler's permit. Periodic sewage overflow, which cause offensive odors in some communities such as Waterford, Portmore Park, and Bridgeport. Again, that's an issue that the National Water Commission needs to address. We had spoken to them about that going forward they need to ensure that the sewage treatment plants are properly maintained. And they gave us a commitment, and we have seen that there have been some improvement in terms of improving the service and expanding the services of the National Water Commission, especially as it relates to sewage management. Another environmental challenge is infrequent collection of solid waste. That matter, again, was raised with the National Solid Waste Management Authority when they appeared before us. Improper disposal of excreta due to the lack of toilet facilities in a number of older communities. Odor nuisance, poor wastewater management, and fly breeding from animals rearing in established communities. So again, in the older communities, we will have to do some, encourage the public health authority to ensure that we guide the citizens from a public health perspective on these matters, the improper disposal of excreta, and of course the rearing of animals in these established communities. Way forward has been proposed by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Southeast Regional. Should Portmore become a parish? Option 1. Public health in the parish of Portmore remains under the direction of St. Catherine Health Services. So that is one option. Option 2, Portmore has a total autonomy for the resourcing and managing public health services in the parish. And I'm sure members that even the citizens of Portmore want that level of autonomy, option 2, where the public health services within the parish of Portmore reside within Portmore, and they have that autonomy to resource and to manage their own affairs. Under option 1, Portmore Public Health Services being administered by St. Catherine, they're saying that the operational structure is in place. Precedents already established in Kingston and St. Andrew Health Services, where in Kingston and St. Andrew, you have 2 parishes being managed by 1 public health services. The ability to deploy resources due to exigencies of the service, accommodation infrastructure already established, and the ability to mobilize resources at short notice to address public health concerns. And they believe that it will give them greater management and control. On the downside, though, to this proposal, option 1, 2 municipalities autonomous with their own structure, which may result in conflicting or contradicting demands, increasing demands from citizens, demands for hospital, which would need empirical evidence to support same, duplication of management, staff, and resources. Option 2, the municipal directs the affairs of and option 2 is that Portmore as a parish has its own public health service in that parish. The pros, the municipality directs the affairs of the Portmore Public Health Services, greater response time to public health emergencies, targeted and possible greater frequency of environmental activities, potential integrated or public-private approach to parish health care, direct control of budget and expenditure in Portmore, appropriate response to growth service demands. And I believe that the pros here really answer some of the main public health concerns. Let us have a look at the cons. Additional and significant resources needed to establish the health service infrastructure in Portmore. Duplication of technical and administrative skill set. I do not agree with that, because you would have to provide the necessary skill set, whether it's a parish or not, to adequately deal with the demands. Operational inefficiencies and loss of economies of scale, loss of opportunity to transfer skills, and increase in the Ministry of Health and Wellness annual budget. Members, I hope you guys were able to, follow with me as I rush through this presentation. Again, it was presented to us some time ago, and members, you know, the floor is open to any concerns or questions, and then we will decide on the way forward. Member Jackson. Member Campbell.
Well, for me, just taking off my mute button. I read through. I've been through the presentation, which was submitted in hard copy. I've again followed with you just now. And there are some things that in there indeed that I would want, particularly in the last few pages. Pages run through my copy here. The last 3-4 pages, I would love some elaboration on some of those provisions. But also,
such as what, Member Jackson? Because you know, as a committee, I believe we must be able to share our concern amongst ourselves as well. So
as I said,
I invite you, Member Jackson, to just elaborate a little bit more as to some of your concerns.
I can't elaborate, Mr. Chairman. It's the minister I'd love to have elaborate.
The minister?
Distance.
The minister?
No, the ministry.
Okay. So Member Jackson, you don't have any questions at this time?
No, I don't.
Members, any questions or you would want to ask of the Ministry of Health?
Are you saying what question? Yes, but are you, what?
No, coming from this presentation, anything jump out at your members?
Yeah, man, everything in the last 4 pages.
No,
those are the things I want to discuss with the ministry. In fact, each page with 2 slides. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually 5. The last set of pages in the report is what I would like to go through the ministry. I like some collaboration and then by them, which committee members can't help me with.
Member Davis, you were saying something?
Yes, Chairman. I have listened to the report, and what I glean from this report, it's an overall current perspective of the area that is now being served by public health and by the Ministry of Health. Also, what I see in the conclusion of that report, or what I hear coming from that, is recommendations going forward. So these are some of the things that we will have to do when Portmore becomes the 15th parish. So I don't think that, you know, we can get a title now as to when we will have a new hospital built. But we know that that is an imminent part of the activities that will be done there. So I would say, Mr. Chairman, that report to me is in line with all the other previous reports, because there's no doubt that, you know, Portmore will take some time to have some of those infrastructure that will be required for it to have a wholesome and integrated parish. But I'm sure that that is one of the purpose of this committee, for us to make the recommendation. And you know what jumped at me, Mr. Chairman, is that some 2,000 acres of land has been reserved for agriculture. Because if you have in a parish, then there must be a significant amount of agricultural activities. And that, in my opinion, is moving in the right direction. So, I mean, listening to the presentation and having read the other presentation, the last one that I've read is the one from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. And that, in my opinion, is very, very comprehensive. And so I think that we are at a point now where we actually see the landscape, and it is even becoming more convincing that Portmore should be made the 15th parish of Jamaica. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Member Davis. Any other comments from the members?
There's a curious question, if I may, for my colleague, Member Davis.
Member Jackson.
He mentioned about the agricultural land allocation. I was wondering if Kingston that have no agricultural land would be disqualified.
Member Jackson, I don't think that's a very appropriate question. What the member is trying to say is that the mere fact that the development of Portmore includes agriculture speaks to sustainable
I think this
development.
is one time that he has been answering to himself, Mr. Chairman.
So member, remember what we said at the outset about mental health being a very critical area of concern in society.
My friend, Minister Davis.
And I tried relentlessly to protect the chairman from Member Jackson. I want the chairman to go there.
Member Jackson, we were trying to protect you, But despite my best effort, Member Jackson, you just wanted to answer yourself.
You just walk into that one, Chairman.
No. I was, as I said at the outset, Mr. Chairman, I was just curious, But my good friend, Minister Davis, didn't help at all. Anyway, we won't believe on that one.
I do hope that you do not answer yourselves too many times. I mean, an occasional answer, yes or no.
That's why I asked the question.
Members, any comment?
Sir Chair.
Go ahead, member.
Yes, I've listened to the presentation that was read eloquently by you a short while ago, and I'm in line with Member Davis, in terms of the policy and the position, the posture.
Remember, I believe you have muted accidentally.
Sarah in particular, in terms of their idea of the health facilities and the healthcare of Portmore, should Portmore become, a parish. I have read the document as well, and I've seen where they have the pros and the cons, and it's actually in line with, the thinking. I don't want to speak for them, but, in my best recollection, they're in line with, there's no dissemination, if such a word to be used at this time, in terms of if Portmore become a parish, in terms of the healthcare of the citizens. The question that was asked by Member Morris is a very good question as well, and one would, request the answer to that question. But in a question that I would want to ask him as well, as we know the history, that there are many parishes in Jamaica that got parish status without a hospital. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that we don't need a hospital in Portmore, but I'm saying that the development can come even if Portmore become a parish, or when Portmore become a parish. So I'm in line, I've read the presentation by the Ministry of Health. I've read it eloquently a while ago, and they're in line in support with Portmore becoming a parish. Just advice to my Member Davis, whenever you're speaking to the committee for the cameras, ensure that we can see your face appropriately. And, I'm protecting you again, Sir Chair, from my Member Jackson. As my colleague MPs, so I have to protect him at all costs.
Mr. Chairman, I need some protection.
All right, you're protected. Member Jackson. I'm going to ask members to desist from making reference to Member Jackson and his mental state.
I feel like I've been ganged upon, Chairman, but I've been relying on you to save me.
You know, you're my friend and you're my member of parliament, sir.
All right, sir.
Any other comments from the members? Or Member Golding, Campbell?
Yes, morning, Chair, again. Chair, I too am disappointed that the Ministry of Health has not been able to attend this morning. I, in particular, would have wanted to inquire into whether or not, well, I would have wanted to inquire into the optimal numbers of service providers in the public health system and how that is determined in terms of the population. I'm not sure that I've gotten that from this, from the written presentation that they have given us. And in particular, you know, whether or not, given the population size, the number of medical officers, specialized and otherwise, is an adequate number for the population, and how is it the Ministry of Health determines what is adequate support vis-a-vis the population that is served. I think in looking at what we are proposing to do, that kind of inquiry is relevant, not necessarily to determine whether or not Portmore becomes a parish, but certainly to determine what would be the adequate support levels that it would require as a parish. So I put that forward as a question that I would wish to have answered by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Thank you very much, Member Golding Campbell. Very good point. Any other comments from the members? Any other comment? Members, you know, despite the fact that we were not able to have in attendance to the representatives from the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Southeast Regional Health Authority, I believe that the document that they provided us with some level of insight and direction as to not only Portmore being considered as a parish, but the whole public health system in St. Catherine, and in particular in the Portmore area. So it's a very good document, very insightful document. Members, the committee, the members from the representatives from the Ministry of Health had indicated to us that they would want another 2 weeks to make their presentation. I believe that is more than too long a time, and will ask members to support me to indicate to the ministry that at the next meeting, which I hope will be next week, that they joined us either in person or virtually, and answer these questions and lend some level of clarity. While at the same time, I know that the clerk has already started a process of generating the matrix for us to examine, and do hope that by the next meeting we'll have in our possession the matrix, even without the full input, but to include the presentation from the Southeast Regional Health Authority in the matrix for us to look at next week. Members, also, I believe that we need to put in place, as well as we examine the matrix, a strategy to even engage more citizens, civil society groups, public meetings with these groups, whether the Parliament has allowed us the opportunity to do so virtually as well. So that is something that we need to contemplate as well, because we want to ensure that we even though we gave an extended period for submissions, that we engage not only persons within Portmore, but the entire country and even outside this country to participate in this deliberation, because I believe, members, that this is a critical step for full autonomy in Portmore, or the area that is being designated as Portmore, the parish, members. And so, Madam Clerk, let us see if we can have the matrix to include all the presentations today for us to examine, members, and members to let us look and see how we can engage more citizens within the parish proposed area of Portmore, the parish, Greater St. Catherine, and the entire country as best as possible. So, members, having said that, the date of the next meeting, because the date of the next meeting, I had asked the clerk to book a date next week. Madam Clerk, can you just remind me?
Yes, Chairman, it's Wednesday the 30th at 2 p.m.
Members, those in favor for us to have the next sitting of this Joint Select Committee to examine the Portmore City Municipality, being the 15th parish, can you indicate same for me, please?
Mr. Chair, you said Wednesday the 30th at 2 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am. Member Campbell.
Is it not possible to be earlier in the day? Is it any at all possible?
No, it was the only available slot for next week.
Okay, I'm fine with it then, Mr. Chairman.
All right, members, having said that, can I have a motion for us to adjourn?
Don't move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Member Campbell Enriquez.
Seconded.
Second by Member Miller. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. Members, let me thank you for your participation, attendance and participation in this sitting. I want to thank members of the staff of the Houses of Parliament, in particular, Mrs. Douglas Beckford, who is celebrating her birthday as well today. Sorry for intruding on your birthday, but we appreciate you, Mrs. Beckford, Douglas Beckford, and your team for support. Other representatives from the different government agencies who have always been with us whenever we have meetings. Thank you, guys, and I see you the next meeting, which is the 30th. Meeting now stands adjourned.
Chairman, just to be clear, that is the 30th of June.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Next week, Wednesday.
Sure. Thank you.
Job